Yeah. Sure.
So Geshe-la, at the time of death, the dissolution process is focused at the heart chakra. Why is it suggested to visualize light at the navel rather than the heart at the time of death? The jitang zo number shegi timdang number shepan chamol chedi ningla bepacher wade
Really.
ningi kila sim chamodi yeber wade the kasik nangla di tewa gi di mikpachena yaman
이제 난다디 때월라디 다양지다 곰당게 림바르지면 심 참모데 닝사디 닝델 말다
나를
델 총고 거드데 닝게 닝사 닝디나라 요 말다디 자와데 데마 창dio 방고니 기데 델라 닝가서 통마 수부 차단게 다 통매게 당저 뉴심 참모되어 될 때가 요라고로
나를
다 때월 검사디 다양 검당 때와 지고도 다 검당이 그런 집에데 고바신다데 다 직심내야 심 룽잘라 슈야 다 딘데 지 고바딘데 온데 셰거르미지 시림기 때월 요 말이시 닝가랑 미스트나 상만닝가래 요 말이시 때월 요 말이스트라.
Yeah, the visualization suggested at the navel is just for training purposes when you're working with the winds, for example, to visualize that level of the navel and or the crown. And with regards to the heart, it's not the organ of the heart proper, but when the body is formed, the subtle mind is like
요리.
in the middle of the chest, not exactly in the physical organ of the heart. So,
통매 이거 수부 당고 주변데 아니 말레데 카마와 팔레데 감가오 니기들라니 심디 데고로
yeah,
데 뉴스 참모데 단다 되나라 니후데다 니후나지데 내가 지금 말했다 단다 말한저 심라고데 내가 지금 와
yeah,
심라고 미그 통야 암조 거야도 내가 지금 와 드디 심 참모데 내가 지금 말 다 되게 상마지메 내가 매ව 차르도 아니 이 방도 시르도 아니 고바 통으로 드디 메시지겠다 곰냠리 곰냠리 마치니나 드디 메시 통고요 말다로
yeah. So now, the subtle mind at the body's formation that is in dependence on the red blood of the mother and the white sperm of the father. Due to that, the subtle mind is encapsulated there. And very much for us, that is dormant, like in a state of sleep. So when we go about our daily works, we're not utilizing that subtle mind. But when we begin to die, those grosser levels of mind dissolve. So then that subtle mind is released and goes further. Now, except for meditators who have recognized that subtle level of mind, we are not in touch with it.
어디 디 심들라 저 락바 참모드네 우여와
Yeah.
심 락바도 다는 거는 이제 내가 지야지 예래 인테나시 류들에 안타라 다는 거 류디 류 락바와 안데레 먼저 니람나라 류도와 니람나라 류지도와디 류타와 딜레장 타와 아니 지메 육심기 류세야지 그래 여러다 딜류 타모 진짜 류들에 타라 심레 타라 어딘데 타라던데 다 연구요레스
Right. So as the mind has gross and subtle levels to it, so for example, when we work during the day, we're working with the grosser levels of our mind. Just as that is the case, the body also has gross and subtle levels. So more subtle than our physical body would be our dream body. And then more subtle than that is the body that goes with the fundamental clear light mind. So just as the mind has gross and subtle, so does the body. Next question. The cause of appearance for the 7th and 8th dissolutions, it mentions the red, eternal, indestructible drop. Does that equate to being permanent, or how is that understood? Legisla, then number shepherd, timdang di dumba dan gyapa, vegetamani di imbere, the drop your what did it? New mesim dropachi, indestructible drop. Tigli mature dropachi, mutun join tigli. Tigli said the takpare, mitakpare, kandere, tigli mabo.
Tigli mabo.
Tigli mabo. Where does it say about eternal indestructible drop? It doesn't say about red indestructible drop.
Yeah. 7th dissolution and 4th appearance.
Now calamity,
They meet at the indestructible drop. So yeah, but that's different from being a red indestructible drop though. Gishla mabutang kabo di nang ne sem tramu yorwa debe.
Ale palate come out.
Oh, di ni micheba mayimba marwa di nyamdu sem tramu di mutu yorwa.
Yeah, tero palate come out, come go malate come out de. Ni diniga surwa so.
Yes, the red indestructible drop and what's called the white drop, they're actually form, and the subtle mind is encased within those two.
Ya bija jani de mabu derwa ya tenche da nabunane ane ta tenguyo da o didu da namshi chime ta jiga de pe
Kishla in this one. No, I can see it, but it's all right. It's all right. That's a strange translation. Kishla kam mabutang kasa Mabudang kabudinang le injisik de la red eternal indestructible drop. So Mabudang kabudin nikala karisa eternal indestructible. Mutuna joyantang macheba meba. Nika yoris ledusa. Injinama.
Mutun do yisana.
Mutun's journalist and metapa mayemba tapa.
That mitawa. Did don't wanisha yermishi mitawra.
Yeah, eternal doesn't mean that they're permanent, because the only permanence you would allude to is emptiness. So eternal here doesn't mean that they're permanent. Indestructible, mature meba, chair meba, Kishla. Chigwa meba dobashe.
Chigwa meba maro, chigwa yoro, some midawra. Really.
Yeah, I don't know why they translate it also as indestructible, because they are also disintegrating moment by moment. So maybe we're getting into translations there. They're impermanent. Both drops.
How should it be translated?
Di gurna tigli ni barwa mabutang kabo konzadira eternal.
Yeah,
takpa jobsi shagre eternal. Bena juya meba mayimba mutu na join.
Mutu ne, there's a mutu ne donyejar that Tongma Jawachimal Dugumana, Jawa Demishi, Tongma Jawa Tongma ne, Mashisa, what the Tegora, what you in Tiramishi, 겨와 딜고 메다 제거와 사사다 디 미기 되와 아니 지메야 겨와 제말라 이 둔두로 하도 질린디야 고란 로가요 데 롯베드 로가 남시 슈제베 로가로 디 요야 고란 요말
Yeah, the subtle mind, we could say, is eternal in the sense that it goes on, but that doesn't mean it's not impermanent. And with regards to the red and white drops,
다디 direct translator 체레 닝게 미식 발라라
yeah.
미식 발라야 디 미식 와파주나 따고라 코도 디 미식 바사
So the translator has taken mishikpa, which means
지가
indestructible.
매와 디 따고 코르 거
Yeah. He's thought that the word mishikpa, which means indestructible, means that it's eternal or permanent.
다디 다게
But that's not the
translator
case.
sound translator 체다
Yeah.
제가 추그 틱라 디 틱직웨나 단다 로가 요르디
We have to be careful because some words in Dharma are one word, but they're translated, meaning the same thing across the board, but they're not.
음아 단다디 칸도 세저라 칸도
Mm.
양디 translator 데 주도 컬러 좀 얘들에서 칸도 세데 카드 난게 카르와
Mm.
도스디 도로하다
Mm.
알레 칸도 마스디 난갈라 좀 얘들에서
네.
카드 규자라 디딘데 와 거라야 말
Yeah.
데디 틱규니게 단다
Yeah,
요마고나
yeah.
콜로딘데 지고나
Yeah. Sometimes, like when someone translated Dakini, which is that one that goes in space, they can translate it as sky goer, which isn't actually correct.
디베디 랭귀지 데와 칸도 마시고
Yeah, kadroma.
디 군에서는 컬러 좀 얘들 칸도마이나 아니 지우도서 칸도마 차로
Yeah, then we could say birds are dakinis because they go in sky,
예
but that's not strictly correct.
단달로가로 하시나 단대디 미식발라 미식바서 준제 가르스나 코 레기 조마식바 되게요 레기 테디기 레기 조마식바도 코 되게자 안데는 미식
It's called indestructible because it can't be changed by the karma of this life. That's why it's indestructible.
페나 미카시에 된데도와 카 액시던트 체로 아니 남시 파트 등구도와
Yeah.
아니 그런 룰라다 아니 룰디 맹간나라 칭 멤베게 라과도 제 그런 거 맞제 라 멤베 하고 제일 남시 주 숙지도 어디서 가르스나 레게 저도 체메위다 다가 되게요.
So an example of this would be a person has a car accident, the body's in hospital, the consciousness somehow is not in the body, but is observing that body having an operation done on it. And the consciousness is trying to say, don't do it. And the reason the consciousness can come back into the body is because the karma is not exhausted yet for that indestructible drop.
Sorry, are you saying it's karmically indestructible?
For that span, yeah. Say dila kola mishik parva. Correct.
Well, was it also mentioned that it cannot be changed by the karma of this life? So if it's a subtle wind or subtle wind mind that goes from life to life, that carries the karmic imprints, surely it would have to be influenced by the karma of the life because it's carrying those imprints to the next life.
So what's the question?
Well, it was said that it cannot be changed by the karma of this life, this subtle, eternal.
Yeah, the span of it, yeah.
Yeah, so, but in our life, we create karma all the time and karmic imprints, which are laid down into the merely labeled mind, which is the subtle wind mind. And that's what goes from life to life. So it must be changed by the karmic imprints of the life.
Kishla the sem tromo nang la bakcha shagi rwadi. Se digi le chena. Sem di nang la bakcha sha. Song sang di drewa yore. Le se digi le dang sem tromo ki mishikpa.
저대요.
Drewa de yorba.
저예대. 단다 바자샤니디 심터무 키기요 맞다. 심터무디 심디 바자 키기요 뭐네. 바자 키니디 가 키기요라고 하다.
Yes, there is a connection there, but it is not the subtle mind that carries the imprints. It is the mere eye.
the Anil Howard Tanda Mishi was the Tidige that on the Pamani Yawa Panshan Jogi led the King Karitan and Shigayo leg knew the Mazasa were the King Karitation you down to me with the Mishi was on the Tiki Dewadirvat and that call Tango the Mishi wallet.
Yeah, what we should connate, understand from this indestructible drop is that we've attributed a body from our parents, and that body has a karmic duration and limit that cannot be altered, so it's indestructible. Connection, of course. How we alter karma, of course, but that's not contravening what what was just mentioned.
So our whole life is imprinted there, so our death is stamped there somewhere.
Okay, so you mean the span?
Yeah.
So the question was, our life has a span or is imprinted there, so our death must be imprinted there too. Kishla dinangshin nanso se digi tseyor ba? Dila tayore. Pena di gangla dogamor wada. Kiyo tam shiwa di nide parala.
Leg punching you.
Yeah.
Didn't
Yep, correct.
That's
it. Is that the case? Yes, that's the case.
Leg said Pena lo jaju dea you punch na. And jaju jenny roja money jaju.
If the karmic consequence is flung, as the Tibetan word is, for 100 years, that's what you get. You cannot go over 100. Yeah, if the throwing karma is for that span, then that's, yeah.
I don't know, the two Toboli or Lama didn't someone and go. Did sitting down your way. Someone I had any raw. Did sitting down murder. Sell a 2 Mayimbe Chiwagi, 2 Mayimbe Chiwagi on the. And said to Susula, Rojado there, you know. And gain 2 Mayimbe Chigin and long of Bishop Jula Toyat in the you But it's one down to this unit, 2 Mayimbe Chigin Doyala Pendoyer mission. Selling die on my rest.
So your question might come, why then do the lamas give long life empowerments and long life blessings? Is it to extend life? Well, no, not completely correct. It's because that you can meet with untimely death. So you're supposed to live a certain span, but at 50 or 60, you meet certain obstacles. So the long life empowerments and blessings are to reverse those obstacles that would cut your lifespan in an untimely way.
That's it. Tundu Sedadaya. Sedadaya, Serum Daya, Tapshi, Yakshu, Tande Sedrin Daya. And it to get Gawachime Tejuna, Titseparing Doyage, Nami Lesaya, Serum Gawachima Serum Budea, Lesayala, and so Tundu Sedadaya, the Zuta Rimbo, they are Kalanchik and Langas. Langasoya the Serum was Langasoya the pay the Namik do with the door, Lamsoya, and Lama. Lama Pidu Lajik Zangmasoya or Langa, Lama Pidu Zangmasuda. Do the Suzuki take Pajetoya down the line, Pentoshim or Sigma.
So, best thing for long life in general is to liberate animals. We're not talking about extending this lifespan particularly, but creating the cause in the future life to have long life. And second one is to make a road, to build roads, construct roads. That's also good for long life. But also when lamas visit, when high lamas and teachers visit, it's good to clean the path, make the path clean and nice. And what this does, it stops obstacles for one's life and it creates the cause for long life.
There's not doing.
What happens to the consciousness when someone commits suicide? Rangshi Jamna, number shepherd, our journal, the
Further in she Jamna, that Majin Joshima Tundu Jinella, touch it.
It is, we could say, if one takes one's own life, definitive rebirth will be animal, probably we could say.
가르스는 디딜라로 라지게도 뮤직 세라 다간다. 수수수수라지잖아. 너도 뮤직 세라. 수수라지게도 수수선도 굴론도 여러봐. 수수베 조언이 여래. 아니 시디 시 미세와디 시지부 시오로 왔다. 제가 라지자니도 디버베 첨부 수수수세인가. 디버 첨부 시우지고라다.
It is taking the life of a human here. It is said to be a strong non-virtue, and one has made it motivated to do it and taken one's own life in this case. Yeah, that's strong non-virtue.
그래서 미르된데 오늘은 남배춘에는 자신부쇼지 봐. 르된이 가고. 르된데 된라 자원몽고치도니 아니 레바야 고지 여된죠 봐. 먼저 튼둘레 먼저 레바 야가시도 봐.
야.
근데 니마직 퇴버 대회나 펜도시야요를 내주 테스트 연구로 봤다. 다만에 연구를 때 개념을 그 메제로 하고 그러. 티 메제래. 때 항상 개요 말해. 상상 수수 당나게 맨 경험에 렉 드미 근데 상상은 독다면 요던데 요래. 근데 저봐 렉임베 드미서 되냐로. 아 드즈리도 저는 나죠 돈에 상당히 빼미세요. 개체주 된 거죠. 말한 상황을 미르된직 퍼봐야 빼야고 인상 가와 양내 양들. 아니 리덴디들라네 베디다 차와 먹고 치도야 수수 동에나 세도야 그봐 지금 밀게지셔도 수수 지금 류가 나서 세셔도 싱고 나자이나 수수 탈란체는 세여로 공cap 로종 냠레도 제 최 냠레체나 싱고 나자디 교다야디 교가요래 류가 나자 교다야디 오네시나 고려요래 인당 아주 마음보지 다 갑질 로지 되더라 류디 교가에 위해서 심리 관리하고 심문에서는 그 랑가르직도는 레라고 교구 쉬우지 교단도 고요라 동의에 매우서도 고요라 류라 직다와다와 로로 고르고도 마스여나라 아니 심게데 삼로다야 이징이라 교도 셔야 되는 용거 제가 또 드즈리도 좀 로정체는 먼저 밀류된디 아니 자친구 임바데 텐조 대회 밀류된 자친구 임바 니가와 임바 아니 근데 대도서 삼로 양내 당부이나 아니 라시자 삼로고랑 레기 말어 봐.
Really, from the perspective of Buddha Dharma, being human is precious and it's very difficult to get, very rare and difficult to get. It's good to think on this. We have a human brain that has intelligence and can discriminate, unlike animals. And even in one day, with a precious human rebirth, one can accomplish so much. So this is a point to rejoice around. Yeah, even within being human, of course, we're going to face difficulties. That's just the nature. But we can also remove lots of vast amounts of suffering. So, for example, if we really understand mind, although the body's sick, if we study about mind, the mind is very tameable, and the mind can be tamed in a sense if you go down the correct path much faster than the body. We completely reverse it and put way too much emphasis on the body. But actually, it is the mind that if you put it on the correct path, you can get very quick results. With the body, however, often if you get sick, you have to wait months or even years to heal it. So one should understand the preciousness of being human in that regard as well. And if you really understood the preciousness of being human, the thought of suicide wouldn't even enter your mind.
그래서 지 렐하고든지 상당거래와 그래서 진짜되는 키스도야 돼. 얘게 저 가질 수 있는 기대는 니 공지 되더라. 니 먹으나 그거 말아와다 지금 든도 겨울에는 아니 그 저거도는 깨를 잡대 그래. 네 도와지 나자든데 나 나대 나기도 랍투문다. 그래서 미게 지셔 고도 상무단한테 저거도 나자요 나자대도 랍투고도 저거도는 칼라 고도 랍투고도 근데 된대 차네 밀류된데 쉬어 야고도 아니 킹소를 시켜올려나 같이 오래로 재산 다 단들 르딘렌 데바데 니 베페 야고지 가고고 디바 니마징이 데제른가 봐서서 네 기부제 흘려제 때미 예용 밀 녀그라마서시 대야되다 개정부 시어로 중나 편도시 되면 녀그라마서시 동해마서시 대도는 니마지 기부 중에 중보라 니마지 기부 니마니 돈라지 다와지 두스체네 메제디고 지 기부지 안에 된다 데마지 안에 게트웨이나 밀리딘데 된다 데마지 중으로라
Yeah. And in this class, if there's a dog sleeping, the dog cannot hear what's being said or understand. Best case, if it's hungry, it barks. You cannot talk. You cannot say, I'm sick, I feel sick. Whereas human beings, we can communicate with speech. We can say when we're sick. In that context, compared to a dog, a human body is way much better. Why would you want to be a dog? So then one should rejoice about this being human. And in the context of rejoicing about being human, just relax. Do one's best not to make trouble with others around you. You know, in your immediate vicinity, have a relaxed approach. And if you can continue this 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 days in a kind of continual way, then that's the way to make this life meaningful, being human.
제자다 만나서 되게 밀리된 톱대요.
Yeah.
아니 가시지 강 저지 뭐 튼두죠 미죠 렘버셔서 만남자고라.
Yeah.
만남자야데 단도 톱대요. 근데 다 배줘야고 싶다나 아니 야고요라.
So we are human now, we've kind of got it. And then some people pray, oh, in the future, may I be this and that, may I be an animal, may I be a human. What's the point of that? You've got it now. You've obtained it now, right now.
그래서 단도 밀리된 야고 틀레데바데 아니 배줘야고 싶다. 다 개제셔데 수수 예윤라요에 아니 직 파마레 빈자레 토보레 토모레 도돌라 참부체여와
Yeah.
아니 직 니주데데 용도 세생검여와 직직 아니 파주 삼시체야 강예테도 로고체야 다 딘데 치도비나 아니 메제디 야고 용거라 메제나라 강예라데 용거래 야고 용거래 도자 용거래 다 개제셔데 수수 예윤라요에 파마 빈자 통바 토고 로드 토고 빈주 딘데라 파주 참보체 네 지 펜도체 자와체 수수쌤데 지 신의 펜도체 상무지간 대토이나 근데 kum시대로 차베이나 근데 배워요라
So the key being now that one is human to use it well, human support, and particularly with regards to those immediately around you, your parents, your friends, and if difficulties come up, under those circumstances, do your best to be patient, forbearing, and when difficulties come up, try to help others. That's very important. So, you know, in the context of this life, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. But then, best case, if we can be habituated to help others, that would be the best. Kishla, doesn't matter at all what is done with the physical body after death. Kishla, shisane lose well ro.
뭐래
Ben a bet shisane and a tat and some member wa. Then a lose di kawala tang digre kasakalator me cha dikayo marwa. Shisane.
다 시산하다 고 다수수수 롱고수수기 도단저로 아두도나 야고요로야 롱보다 도단 춘네 면조든데 제네 미신달 녀로서 그러라
Yeah.
베나 다 아주 뉴질랜드로 이나니 다 만차 데제니레도 메다자다 세올베야드레도 다 디니 가능직 지해래 다 뉴질랜드이나 디니 가능직 담야레도 지미지 제스 게임인다
So, if, you know, yeah, the body is, you know, the person is dead, in terms of one has to go with the culture of the country. You know, if they don't have a culture, well then. But in New Zealand, there seem to be two choices. You either burn the body or you bury it.
로 디님이지 뭐.
Isn't it? Is there a third?
여머래 테리 여머래. 아 제자다 롱버스스게 뒤단 뒤니 치야르미지게 데려왔다 개지슈디 그저 기승시에는 지레다. 지난 다 남시 전사도 류사도의 지구 찾아가거든. 야디 그 배지 알아서 다지 다라마든데 면남자야라고든데. 봐.
Yeah.
다 기승 면남자야데. 아니 면남자야게 돈받아서다. 지 전스카에는 라마초거든요. 봐. 라마초. 다 산주 면남대야. 딘데 돈로치스. 멜라 징아시나 야고요라. 다디 개침불에 라마초가 지던 도비나 안디나라 베 돈받아서 오늘 미시다 야고쇼요래. 딘데 산주 면남대야. 아니 다 산주 자유대야. 아니 소소 벤조로 오즈인 벤조 얘기해서 야 말해라. 뉴뉴질레면은 공부도들 야제 공부를 벤조만 오면 문안게도 말 공무하려면은 그저 뭐면 된 거래. 야 공부 찍려면은 미디밀 capsules prière judo sandu za judo na lama judo pe wodong gore kanda serada mitona lama chu wodong gore ra lama chu wodong sanju wodong gore tawa je ndela capsule pu susu benjo nedan la pa be ji karine je 지중 가리나 지야래 와 디네 방제 아니 춘에 매나 와 배셔 제 매나 니 민야 표현에 점주는 거 얘네 데이터 말람 책을 뭐 책 말아 그래서 배셔 표현에 가서는 수수 제가 되어 차고 제가 되어서는 편도 차인 거요래 제가 어디 인도 가서 배셔로 아니 가시게 수수 그래도 아이나 수수 둘로로 된데 연자로 된데 제가 공부를 된데 둘로 닝거든데 총야만 왜 공부를 모델을 풀고라 건 되어 차 주저라고 된데 스틱 알롱로 된데 지고서로 된데 자게로 한국어로 된데 공부하게 미촌도 된데 표시하고라 근데를 면람 잘하시는 공부하게 면람 제고요래 내가 가시는 수수 변조하고 있나니 근데라지 세바 표야 수제 표야 고인자야 안데 가시 니마직 된데 근데 추베디 거랑 좀 버텨야 되는데 그래서 변조를 봐게 담을 지어요 그래서 상마야 고 저는 신나야 고요로 인데 치료시 예스로다 어느서 드링 데이터 믹스하게 가서 그래 이 치워게 tradi지하게 고선자네 마시고는 돈받아야 돼서 tradic 수수 가를 거예요 티샤위는 미 베저티도 제대로 작으러 알아 다들 제대로 쉬어서 디치료시도 디치료식도 남산 야야야 그게 좀 마마 그게 팀워크로 가시니 어딘데 다도 tradi지하게 계속 못 찾고 그래
So then the person or being having died will now seek a new body. That being the case, it is good to request on that person's process, on their behalf, prayers from the Lama or Lamas. And commonly, what is requested is Lama Chopa, Guru Puja, and King of Prayers. Advisable also to give the name of the person that's deceased. And this is a very important point, because the prayer of the Lamas have a lot of potency. And then if one has a bit of something one can offer, like in terms of monetary or wealth, that is good. But even if it's 5 rupees or 1 rupee, I think it probably meant $5 or $1. And then there are some prayers that are done at Guto, which are like the root prayers of Guya Samaja. They're very good. Anyway, but normally at Sierra, Guru Puja is done, King of Prayers is done. Do whatever you can. And if it's a case where you don't have any resources at all, then just the name of the person will do. But the reason we offer finance or money is because it makes a karmic connection, or we would say the connection through substance of the dying person and those praying. So for example, in Tibet, often the clothes of the deceased would be taken ornaments, anything, rings that they wore would be used. So therefore, if one can do it, then if one has the means to do it, then one offers prayers on the person's behalf, but also offers the Sangha tea and a meal for a day, or if one can do more, however long the prayers should go on for. And this is good for us to know, because this course is about getting ready for death. So things such as this, it is good for us to know how to request and how to go about it.
Oh, that told me there.
That's it, I think.
No question. Do you have a question? Question finish? Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
My question is, let's say you're helping someone go through the dying process, but they're not Buddhist. What should we do to help them die peacefully and or have less interference by doctors, nurses, and relatives? Is possible?
근데 내가 남바 많이 지게 til라는 먼저 배치돼 수수하게 공잡하고 제를 뭐지 하고 제를서 이제 공 근데 이게 심딩에 미디게 남시디 이제 하고 제를서 이게 til라부터 그 미디 지 남다 단 토거들에 매우 그런 게 개와사신 저도야 미제 심디 개와지 흘려진 거는 도쇼 삼지 그래서 칸에 개마되는 제 심딩에 내가 공들이 저기나
Okay.
What
does help if you are with a person who's passing, who's not Buddhist particularly, but what you can do, you don't have to do it out loud, but quietly you can meditate. That may the dying person's mental consciousness be guided by the protector, Chenrezig, for example, Avalokiteshvara, so that what's rightening in their mind is virtuous, and you do your recitations and meditations to that end. No.
Oh, then there's the 나야 진짜 정말 중요지 내 중스러워 합니다. 나와마이 시간라고 레메데 호스피스나 레라.
Yeah.
네 어다 계절 많이 당아 당 지금 변함자 재미도.
Yeah.
아니 순서가 돼. 그 라과드네 주제 노도 스콘지데 페조를 따다 처월레니. 아니 페조게 텐주 라기도.
Yeah.
페조를 따다 네버딜 따다 심나라 처지 따다 레로도. 근데 나 팀원이 숨지 총스델레는 뉴질랜드 총리대 나란지야 델레니 가오고 미아라고지로 아무도 최대 누가도 상파라고 미 숨지는 게 근데 편도 지도송아 통과라고 그러라.
I have encountered people in hospices. Obviously, they are not Buddhist, and one can't kind of do prayers out loud and shout them out. But one can hold the person's hand, and just from doing that, you can get a sense of the person going through the dying process. And a couple of times they've said, thank you. And I've had 2 or 3 of these situations. And then at those stages, I realized that yes, Dharma has some benefit and potency.
Oh, dinner다. 다당이게 룸디 셰와. 근데 룸 셰잖아. 나오 집지로 데데 셰, 룸 데데 셰. 아마가 룸 하고 셰다. 치스 룸이라 셰면 여러 차. 그래서 좀 가면도 하고 말이에요.
So now, time for a story. I used to tell lots of stories, but somehow I stopped telling them. Maybe you didn't like them.
아유, 저는 당기 아주 미디 신이 파르돌라 겨도 코나 파르도디 겨 치매게 미기 남바체 로데기도 와.
Yeah.
아니 먼저 미통다도야 미가시에게 미통조디야 통구도 알아.
Yeah.
그 넘버 통구도 안 되겠다. 다 동네 제샤 디데샤스다. 마 겨와 좀 마 도민도 그 대샤스다 나저 표지도 나데 라그도 데 지도 신달래 남녀 망고도 자갈래 동네도 켈렌지 그래 다 최단 대화에 만셔를 동네도 켈렌지 그도 다디 제가 네 동바 좀 된데게 네 야브게 좀 된데를 트워티로 저랑게 네 겨와 치마디 요 두비온데 네 미디시 파도체 겨와 랭도스로 파도라 그거 수고 남바디 겨와 치메디 남바레 샤스로 겨와디 푸이나 겨와 치마 포모 겨와 레아이나 그 파도디 포모게 수고 남바레 샤스로 이나 그 단데 미디 마 파도 만들어지 대도 갖고 미신달로 통구도 하구나 그러와 미디 남바디 포디 남바디 통구도 와서 미카제 농도 통디 여러 와다 안디 도면도스 좀 된데 데데 말해서 그 단도 통화에 이제 그 신이데 말해서 그다음 대화에 미만인게 시다로 근데 여러 와 콘소게 지자든데 여러 와 콘소 주주요 콘소게 주주는 먼저 komis시 첨부 예산 그게 주주게 그거 넘버 된지 용거 콘솔라 지자 칼라도 보고요 칼라 가르치면서 콘도 칼라라 해지도 네 용거요 레스 디레메시 지게 데 코란 시도니데 말해서 좀 된데 이 야블라 저틀랜데 나라 세고 쉽지 송요래 봐
So, coming from Shakyamuni Buddha, the suture of questions where his father was asking him questions, so like that discussion between Buddha and his father. So in that context, it was talked about the father was asking Buddha, you say that if humans pass and then they go into the intermediate state, they will take on the form, if they're going to be human again, of that state in the bardo. So then, for example, if the person that passes is male, but is going to be born next life in a female form as human, and in the bardo, they will attribute those characteristics of having a female form. And then the question was asked, what about those that enter into the bardo and seem to hang there, to stay there, almost like the word in Tibetan is tongde, which is sometimes translated as demon, I guess you could say. What would you say, spirit? Yeah, just let's say spirit there. And the belief in these types of spirits is quite prevalent in Indian culture, certainly with the belief in Dharma, that belief in spirits and demons is there. So then the father asked Shakyamuni Buddha in the future life, and sometimes when people go into the bardo state, it's like they appear back to the people who are still human, as if it's the relative talking to them, that's appearing back to them, that's still there. But Shakyamuni Buddha replied, no, that is not the being that has passed. They are called smell eaters. And smell eaters have this type of miraculous ability, and they come for food. So this is in a discourse between Buddha's father and Buddha. They can trick.
Dine judu mela danda död ba shudu yang longba jila mi chi chongje adi dongde je sha sirwa mi mangwe tonggo yor de mi di chongjo de mi mangwe tongde da ko gyo di ma zhongmin du dongde le je sha si da be mo koran le geda jar ani di judu mela da geda chimbo di tokwa tongbo re ne konzo da shabdien che ge jan toshi si shabdien che da de la rwa dizu yang dizu rik tu shabdien rao che di pyanya yor da rwa pyanya yor re 아니 된대지 단이 지즈멜라 된대시 지즈멜라 게다디 아니 샤딘체 다디 동레디 그런 발라도 존저도 마레스 부들로 티처럼 바 마레스 룽베 미드즈레 디 마레스 디 겨워디 마레스 디네 도와 더 시다딘데 와 미마이딘데 치사딘데 콘저게 그 넘버데니 용교레스 다 콘저 이치게요 말이다 바바드 미 통구요로 와 미 통용자 이치가 말이야 다음에 저게 바바디 거여르지 저런저 바바디 예 여러 개 튀고서 리간라야 티징도 리간 티칭 아니 리간 친데 퍼다 리간라 야가 좋아요로 야가 좋아 안 지즈면라 커주다 비드 공로 통보 있어라지도 커주게 좋아돼야 카제도 저 카제데 되나라 무강라 싱싱지와 어디 복지지도 어디 겨어디 부디제도 아니 부디 또 따게로도 고통도 부시도 부시네 아니 남네 지즈면라 겹시 토지시스 남네마 그거는 겨어디 도로다 어딘데스 중국에 지즈면라 남다나라 요르치나서 로하더라 티비 인지도를 줄도 아제더라 지즈면라 남다 제와데 인지도를 지나서 로기네 디나라 요르와데 세부 쉬우지어다데
Similarly, Milarepa, the yogi of Tibet, was in the Turk region of Tibet, Upper Tibet, and somebody's father died, and the people requested Milarepa to do a puja, saying, "Oh, you know, our father's died and has been born as this demon or like this spirit. Can you do puja?" So they called Milarepa to do this because Milarepa had these high insights, and could help. Milarepa answered the son and the people, said to the people of Turk, "That's not your dad. That is a non-human smell eater. That is an apparition of your dad. They can make that appearance, but that's not your dad." So then they asked Milarepa, "Well, where is our dad then?" And Milarepa said, "I'll show you." And up on the mountain, there was a place where they put yak dung. Yeah, like yak dung. And you lift off the lid and there's all these maggots. And that said, "Your father is one of those insects in there." And then it's like the father who was then a maggot said to Milarepa, "Thank you very much," because Milarepa was helping liberate that insect. And
those are the New Zealand don't this time do the New
New Zealand, not much problem because there's not much belief and we don't see many demons, right? And many spirits. Non-human.
the chick easy, right? You ajaji don't read those.
New Zealand's like,
디 모나남도 그러봐. 디 가서 페르노이 somewhere.
paranoia.
페르노야 나자들에도 어디 동네가 아예 쌤그 동네에도.
So there was one woman who called me and said, "I'm seeing spirits, I'm seeing ghosts. Can you do a puja?" And then I think in this case it could have been paranoia. The ghost was in her mind.
페르노야 쌤그 소리를 샵내지니시다 팬도 말아.
Yeah, if it is a mental hallucination like paranoia, do you think a puja can help?
동네 통나 아니 샵내지니야 핑도 따라.
But if one really were to see such a non-human entity, then the puja could help.
근데 코셔지로 저거 오신 분이 열어라.
Yeah.
다양한 민락면다야. 건도 강원이도.
Yeah.
강보사원이도. 강원이도. 아니 미장 때 빨라데 때 뭐시 통도 건다 동래시 통도 때 통보다고 삼보마 기부차고 살아 삼보마 기부차 안고 그런 게 대로 재미들이 말해 그런 게 레버게 제축돼요 뭐 주는 거네 지금 사 그런 아주 대체리 근데 라이라 레버 제축나 닥스타디 마슈럼다 들려서 다음에 통과여라 되나시 로질라다 거네 지기여라 근데 저랑 레버 제축으로 했지 지금 거네 지금은 도사 아니 안되네 다 건조 니마치 뭐랑 통데도 와다 지우시야서로 지우시야 아니 나를 거울에서 아니 내 말에 라마 아시요레스 라마 아시레 샤디치랍스 아이사 이거는 라마 아시게자이사 샤디치이사 라마 아시샤디치이사디 직 산인데라 어느 베드스 모든 서브젝트 쇼지 가오지기도 아유
lulu nongshi.
Ya be the young ya be the go be go shoot you to say. Because the number of days. That the name are the kissing you mother catches. Not in there, you're not having Boris Raw. Kissing your mother's cage. I'm kissing your mother's cage of Shapin. Ah, more subject when Naga on the subject and just stand and talk hard to. She will do some.
More the custom.
Don't read it, don't read it.
Ale.
Don't gun it. Don't read, yeah, mother. I'm going to talk with Jonah, your Russia dance, and the number to go to Dojan. I'll cut to Russia. And which I ya Russia. Oh, the Shadino share. That one, that's a good to choose a stadium, Shadinch. Conda should give a good touch it. I just don't give me the don't even do say. I couldn't dress. I you name do choosing down when you carry a magic doy. I could go there, you name do that. Teenage more time, my child on that. Bring me a jail getting you more like you. China Condena Shadin Kalchin. Cook Tall ham dead or solar days a part you stand down is. Solar days and could be a Gadashi, give that a church dead what
Sola.
Cock Hamado on the group judge, the tall hammer, the color of Stangador. Or did they inside? Did they do Gadashi? I did la time do that. Young around, to watch him give you get 6 cigar, the Shabdinch pen, and the Shabdinch or the little finger in me, mind in the day chops over in the yard. But they delayed.
There was a case in Christchurch of a Tibetan family. I won't give names. They had bought a new house, and then the father saw an appearance of this like female, what is it, non-human spirit, and that upset him. The mother said, something's wrong with your brain. You are hallucinating and it doesn't exist. She wouldn't accept it. But one day she did see it. She was really scared. So then they called Lama Asi, Lama Asi to do a puja, which he did. Dijela.
Yang Modin, she was gunning. Yang
And then after doing the puja, again they saw this woman being more happy and dancing around, you know, this non-human thing. And then they called Kishinima Doji. He did puja, but still this entity would not leave. So they called me down by plane, and I did a puja. The Gondarva, they didn't want to come in the room and observe. It was just like me. Everything went really quiet. And then slowly we gave that entity some leftover sog, and then it left after puja. There are stories like that.
I think
so these days we kind of play around with them saying, it's still there, it's still there. And they say, yeah, but we can't see it.
the Pevege, what is that on the killing? Mangaraj Tondek, the Pogo Maradani, India Jade go on the killing you the Tonra.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because the Tibetans kind of accept them, they see them more. But this Western woman, you know, perhaps not accept, but see that can happen.
Mushroom
it could be the case that people do actually see entities, but they don't believe it. And then they just put it down to mushrooms. Or a brain.
Mushroom said the mount to Dam Tungos.
Yeah, I just said when you take mushrooms, you can see a lot, right?
I know.
I'm looking at you.
How many people have experienced this?
It's true, okay.
Yeah. I asked someone, experience. They say, I never eat the mushroom deal like that. I don't have experience, you know. And what kind do you have experience? They said, oh, Very nice. Something cloudy. They said, short time. Did you know? Level zero, two na. Tamata tondo with a shakto.
It seems like there's an effect on the brain, and in dependence on the affecting the neurons in the brain, you hallucinate. That could be how it works in one way.
So once
one should know that the way one takes birth, there are so many potentials. It's not just animal. There are a lot of possibilities. Oh, my father saw a female naga.
One time we believe they have some naga, one big rock, and under there's some water, spring water, right?
Yeah.
We believe that there are some nagas. And Pada one time coming to this area, and then he saw one lady, looks like 18 years old. All body had wearing jewelry, right?
Yes.
Jewelries, beautiful jewelries. And he asked her, where you go? And she said, I want to go to the Samdending. Samdending is one family's name. And then Samdending and our house very close like that. Between there only one house, right?
Yeah.
We are neighbor. And father coming back home. And father saw they do naga rituals, and the naga coming to one person's body, and they're telling do this. And then and father very interesting, want to see they do naga rituals, and he went there, and then naga recognized naga coming her body. Oh, we met before there, she recognized my father. And my father told before, I never seen this lady. And then the other parents' house, naga rituals. And then because naga upset, lots cow has disease, skin disease, family has lots, skin disease.
Skin disease.
And if we can't fix the medicine, and then naga come and we give naga medicine, and next morning disappear. We have lost this experience, I think I see here New Zealand lost people has skin disease because they destroy lots of nagas. This reason we so many skin disease here. The reason we the chadoro machines here high giver initiation is very good for naga fixing problems. It's our motivation. I think here lots of people have, can't. I have one experience. One lady in Millennium, she has skin disease, lots of chemical allergies, but we're terrible ages, and 24/7 hours. And she really color, otherwise she do what's so there?
Scratch her skin.
Scratch, and then the blood coming, she wearing thick gloves all the time. And give her some homework research in medicine with the mantras, and high give mantras very good. And then high give medicine. I think a few years later, her skin disease or power. She's, I think, after that, she forgot me. I think here, lots of people happen like there's something wrong coming, fixing, didn't forget me, I'm okay, just stay happy. It's common here. Yes, yeah. Lucia, the Utah Jerry, no, that is you in the tomorrow.
Nagas are a reality. They can be seen.
So
Maybe explain what a naga is. Yeah, kisla loosen kare kasila hamago.
Yeah, Lucia, the logic, draw ha, Lu, Hamai, Sero. The Ludi, Haji, Miji, Tundushi. Lüde tundu ring na la dudu gore da.
Yeah.
Lüde tundu ring na la dudu gore.
Yeah, so when we look at the different classes of beings, gods, demigods, nagas, animals, nagas fall under the class of animal.
Ida no, dozo tundu ring ba, tundu.
Ida.
Anzo doa ring so ida yora ida.
Yeah.
Lüdan dozo da lüla da menda yora. Kashe mi chesu namba kashe du kashe beva dende namba da menda yora, namba da menda. Namba da menda de tokora.
Right. Now, amongst the 6 realms, we are of course human, but the nagas can take many forms, such as human, such as frog, such as snake.
Dende da mancha du dan beva dan dende yuse. Ale de du dan beva dan dozo luge tersa. Luge. 알아서 루게 그래서 그래. 먼저 있는 미는 키다 심이어와.
Yeah.
되게 쯧대. 배바다, 류다, 종모다, 스파이더다, 드즈리도 루게 그래서 그래. 거기 소자로. 먼저 미는 먼저 미 루다. 아니 키다 심이다. 그래서 먼저 미 냐그러. 어딘데 그러지. 코로나랑 루레랑 나 미에서 말. 딘데로 제스기도.
It's similar that in the proximity of humans, we like to keep dogs and cats around us. So nagas around them, like a similar class, will have snakes, frogs, spiders, and so forth. It's just like that.
나 배바다, 류다, 근데 요새 가인라 류네겨 제상한서 디 신도 류대서 신라 쉬고 되고 그래. 신간 좀 가지고 되고 말해. 신간직도 신간지 추믹다 봐. 근데 폰드라고 근데 근데 탑 메단세 탑을 되기도. 어디고 대서디 계산하던데 데 요래 네. 제상한서 신유제를 요 말에 신간직도 신인데도 신대들면 다 요.
Yeah.
사실 미가시 the sensitive energy 도와 가서 직다에서 도와 그러는데 feeling le yor ta shin khaje ne chowa men le yor den de le ta yor da ro
So, yeah, I mean, the nagas, they live in somewhat strange places. So we could say not in all trees, but like, for example, like in a tree on a hill, or where there's a body of water, like a pond. They will live there. And sometimes they even live at fire hearths. And some people, they say that who are sensitive, can feel the energy in a tree, or the energy, and that could be that they're sensing the naga there.
oh yeah that de sha ro
Yeah, that stop. Because stop the cheka mire cheka jujob shira the sigatus.
timare de de midin chole de lu konan la su goda den de
Ramenda.
ramanda yeser number da mi number tinya ro den de ramanda yeser.
Okay. I just asked about the shape of nagas, and they have many shapes.
Page 31. Short copy.
Da re ga li shi ni de jin ba di san je xin de mi de wa shi la jo ba shu
Right, click that thing, set the Buddha. May all be without exception and to us Lord instead. May the supreme jewel point to that is not risen or rise to glory. And may the origin of risen not diminished, but increased more and more. Whatever cycles of potential I may create, by then homage offering and polish my pulse, rejoicing in the wisdom that the Buddha stay and teach. I now dedicate all this